Hey guys, my name is Nov and welcome to another episode of Lost Ark Made Easy. In this series we talk about each and every Guardian and Abyssal dungeon, and later on we will also talk about Legion raids as well as Abyssal raids. Today we're talking about the Guardian who's called Vertus. Vertus is the third Guardian who will most likely give new players a big challenge when it comes to Guardian raids. His attacks deal very high damage, and also most of his attacks will either knock you down or knock you up. So if you get hit by one of his attacks, there is a good chance that you're gonna get hit again. We will talk about most of his attacks because he really is a very hard encounter, unless you're overgeared. And by the way, by standing on this little cliff, you can actually check two of the areas on this map where the Guardian might be located, and if you also check the first area before throwing your flare, then you can pretty much cover 50% of the map to see if you might spot the Guardian without having to use a flare. Thank me later. The first thing I want you to be aware of is that after a few minutes of your encounter with the Guardian, he will enter his enraged mode, and once he is in this stage, you can stagger the Guardian, which will give you a small opening to actually cut the tail of the Guardian by dealing weak point damage to it. To see which attacks of you deal weak point damage, check your skills descriptions. You can also use a distraction bomb to deal massive weak point damage. By cutting the tail of the Guardian, you will get rid of some of his very annoying attacks. However, by cutting Vertus' tail, you will force him to immediately enter phase 3, which makes him do some of his very annoying attacks way more often, even though he will lose some of his tail swipe attacks. So even though you can cut his tail, it is not recommended to do, unless you want the achievement for it. Alright, let's start talking about his attacks. Just like pretty much any other Guardian, Vertus has a counterable attack. When he glows with this blue color, you can attempt to land a counter attack, and if you succeed, then Vertus will be knocked to the ground for a few seconds, giving you an opening to deal uninterrupted damage. However, if you were to fail the counter, then you will likely get hit multiple times by his attack, which can easily one-shot many classes. So be careful trying to counter Vertus. Vertus has his unique grab attack, which has some pretty bullshit hitboxes sometimes. I've already seen a few cases where people get grabbed from very far away, or even behind from Vertus. This is where team play comes into play. You really want to face Vertus with at least one teammate, because if you were to get grabbed, then your teammates can attempt to stagger Vertus while you're grabbed, and if they succeed, then Vertus will drop you and not do the devastating breath attack, which can easily one-shot many classes. But if you're playing solo, or if your teammates can't stagger the Guardian, and you're not full HP, then you can also use an HP potion while you're in the air before the breath attack hits you to see if that will make you survive the attack. The next most dangerous attack of Vertus is his diving attack. From time to time, he will enter the frozen lake and start following one player. And after a few seconds, he will jump out of the lake towards the player that he targeted. And this attack can deal massive damage, but if you're fast enough, then you can easily dodge the attack. You just need to pay attention to when he is going to emerge. Before he dives into the frozen lake, Vertus will change his direction towards the player that he's going to target. So by paying attention to that, you can tell which player he's targeting. He also has an attack that is very annoying if you're playing a melee class, where he does a spinning attack which deals damage in a 360-degree angle around him. You can tell that he's going to do this attack when he tilts his body towards one of his sides. He also had an attack where he slams one of his legs into the ground and spawn a few red circles on the ground, where there will be a freezing explosion happening, which you really don't want to get hit by, because if you do get hit, then you're gonna get frozen, and you're also likely to get hit by one of Vertus' attacks. So whenever he does this attack, you really want to pay attention to the circles and try and dodge them. He also has an attack where he spits a blue orb, and if you get hit by the orb, then you will have a very big slow debuff on you. When he's in phase 1 or 2, he will only shoot one orb, but if he's in phase 3, then he will shoot 3 orbs. The encounter starts in phase 1, and Vertus goes to phase 2 after a few minutes of the encounter, but if you also manage to stagger Vertus in phase 1, then he can also transition to phase 2. And phase 3 starts when Vertus drops below 25% HP. During the enraged phase, Vertus deals increased damage. One of his other very dangerous attacks is the tail swipe attack, which has a massive AoE, and if you get hit by this attack, then you're gonna get stunned and likely get hit by another attack. You can tell that this attack is happening by the movement of Vertus' tail, because he's gonna swing his tail in the other direction than the direction that he's going to hit towards. If you pay close attention to what he's doing with his body, then you can usually tell what attack is coming up, as long as you have seen these attacks happen at least once. He also has an attack where he just jumps forward or backwards, which doesn't deal high damage. However, it does knock you up, so you're going to have to use your spacebar to get up, unless you want to get hit by another attack. He also has another very dangerous attack, believe it or not, and it is the Ice Breath attack. Shortly before doing the Ice Breath, he will pull in the players in front of him with a very deep breath, and after this deep breath, you have a very short opening to try and get away from in front of the Guardian by using your spacebar or one of your movement abilities. If you don't succeed at trying to get away, then prepare to take a lot of damage. He also has a tail slam attack, where he slams his tail into the ground 3 times, and you really don't want to get hit by the third one, because that again will knock you up, forcing you to use your ground spacebar ability, which, if it's on cooldown when you're knocked down, can be lethal. And I believe we've covered pretty much all of his attacks and his phases, so this Guardian is very hard to fight alone, so you really want to find some teammates to take on Vertus. Also, do not be sad if you can't kill Vertus on your first try. He really is a very hard encounter for tier 1, and it will likely take a few attempts for most players. But once you do defeat Vertus, it will feel very good. If you're struggling with the Guardian, then the best advice that I can give you is try and pay attention to his movements, and also try and memorize his attacks, or at least some of his attacks, so that when you know that they are happening, you know where you need to position yourself to not get hit. And that's pretty much it about Vertus. If you still have any questions, then leave them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer your question. If you found this video helpful, then please do give it a like, and also don't forget to subscribe for more Lost Ark content. We also have a community Discord now, so if you wanna join, then look at the links in the description. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.